Flat today, so 50 on offer at the end of another long stage, 213.5 kilometres setting out from Troyes, and 20 maximum at the intermediate sprint, which comes after 1:08 at Chanceau. Although, as usual, the first few places are likely to be taken by the day's escape group.
10 kilometres to go for the back end of the peloton, and it's Frédéric Bacat from Wanty Group Gobert who is the last rider in the peloton through the 10-kilometre arch. Very interesting to see Team Lotto NL Jumbo much more visible towards the front end of the peloton today, with Dylan Groenewegen in mind, their Dutch sprinter, young Dutch sprinter, who's promised a lot last year and has perhaps let his very, very high standards just dip a little bit this year, and doesn't seem on current form at the moment to suggest that he's about to win a stage of the Tour de France. However, if he reads it right, one good sprint and one tactically astute ride can change all that, and he knows it, and the team certainly believe in him. The only GC team visible towards the front now are Movistar, Nairo Quintana. You can see the smaller of the four riders on the front, just tucked in fourth wheel.
It's interesting to see Quick-Step do this today, that they have decided this is the role. We've seen Lotto Soudal, who are moving just up there on the right now, so they're coming to get involved. Quick-Step have decided to lead from the front today and not do the sit back. I mean, you can see a bit further back down, about 30 riders. You've got the Quick-Step riders there.
It's half a train, isn't it?
So, exactly,
They've split their train in two, and there's a kind of A train and a B train. Yeah.
They got the grafters on the front, and then they got the final lead out sitting further back. So the final lead out, their job is essentially only about 1.5 Ks a K if they get it really right. So they're going to use the other part of the train to set it up, to keep it on, set the pace so high, know what they're going to do, and bring this break back. And Philippe Gilbert still on the front, because I'm presuming Philippe Gilbert won't want to get mixed up in that final lead-out sprint craziness, because it is so high risk. Not saying that Philippe Gilbert is one of the best bike handlers and doesn't mind a risk or two, but it just is calculated.
It's an unnecessary risk for a rider like Philippe Gilbert, isn't it? When they've got other riders to fulfill precisely that function. And I think in that case you're looking at Matteo Trentin, then Zdenek Stibar, who seems to have been very close to Kittel in the final kilometre, and always his last man is the Italian lead-out, Fabio Zabattini, for whom here we go. So now the attack starts in the breakaway group. I'll hold that thought. The gap had come down to about 4 seconds, and it's Bouet and Manuele Mori who go first, but there is a reaction. None of them are prepared to sit up just yet, so they're going to try and stay away, but they've started attacking each other. It's not going to come to much, I don't think. Lotto Soudal have sent a rider forward, and Dylan van Baarle, you can see some of the pressure eases off again. Will van Baarle go again? Well, they all sit on his wheel, and van Baarle is flicking a rather desperate elbow now. Telltale sign. Bouet shakes his head. They look over to their right. I think they're giving up. Mori shakes his head. Van Baarle starts to weave from left to right, and none of them are riding particularly hard anymore, because they're battling a headwind as well, which isn't going to help. And probably in their heart of hearts, they'll be thinking, just get there, will you, and end the agony.
Very much so. The reason for some of those attacks will be, as we said before, just in a last-ditch attempt, maybe to secure the combativity, which you see Mori going now.
Irritatingly, so Mori has attacked.
So they know. I mean, you get on the podium, it's a great thing. So they may as well give it a go. But they've been going hard all day. You can see they just all waited so long to Dylan van Baarle give a little shake of his head, just like, come on. This is exactly what he said, just get it over with.
Well, Jens decided he's not going to play games. Van Baarle does that tired flick against. Oh, look at that. He can barely muster the energy to suggest that they all work together, and certainly not the belief. And Manuele Mori seems determined to ride his own kind of race. Johan Gen, well, he's done for the day.
So this is what we were saying at the top of the show, just how the breakaway suddenly hemorrhages time. When they break, and the peloton, on the other hand, is just getting... The energy's growing and going faster and faster, and there are more teams involved. And so the breakaway, suddenly it just goes from hero to zero in a very short space of time.
Mori was attacking again just as the camera cut away, but it definitely looked as if Van Baarle and Bouet were beginning to run out of belief. That said, Bouet goes this time and forces Manuele Mori into a counter-attacking manoeuvre just to stay in contact with him.
And there you go, it's one of the Quick-Step riders have just pulled off, so at this point you do start to move into what we call the peel-offs, where it starts being quite the rotation at the front of the peloton. Instead, every time you get to the front, you simply go as long as you can. Now, there's certain riders that can do more, and as the breakaway still just plays with each other, a little shake of hands. He doesn't even shake his hand. I think he just touched it. I couldn't tell. Yeah.
Well, Manuel Imori, who is an extrovert character, makes sure that he shakes both the hands of Maxime Bouet and Dylan Van Baarle, who just acknowledges that one and goes, well, can't really.
Yeah, just like, why?
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's over. The breakaway is about to be caught, and Katusha Alpecin, the team who will sweep past the remains of the breakaway. The races come together within 6 kilometres today, and Direct Energie with Adrien Petit move to the front now. Their sprinter in the absence of the man he normally leads out, Brian Coquard. Lotto Soudal re-establishing themselves. The kind of template that we've seen up till now is you'd normally expect at this point in the race Lotto Soudal to be the dominant team at the front, but Katusha Alpecin want to tear up that script, and I wouldn't have expected necessarily Direct Energie to be so present at the front with that man in mind. There, you can see there with the closed aero helmet, the big frame of Adrien Petit. He is their sprinter who will be riding or trying to get himself onto a high place finish today. Orica Scott, though, with Simon Yates in the white jersey in 4th place, is they're right at the front.
And that's Orica Scott. When they do want to turn it on, they have one of the strongest and fastest teams in the world. They've got a lot of big guys, a lot of sprinters. Let's not forget they hold the world record for a team time trial, which was 59.2 kilometers an hour, I think. And they are a team that has that heritage, and so when they do turn it on, they do this to the peloton, and you see they've just strung it out immediately.
5k to go. The last time we saw the green jersey of Arnaud Démare, he was surrounded by his teammates, absolutely not panicking, but he was a long way back, and it's single file all the way down the right-hand side of the road. GC leaders like Nairo Quintana still there, sprinters trains like Katusha Alpecin and Lotto Soudal, and Cofidis still there as well, but it's a strange mix and strange different constellation, and teams are spread out and split up. Where is the green day? It's Marcel Kittel's train, and that's quite a long way back, isn't it? Well,
they didn't expect Orica Scott to do that. Orica Scott has suddenly turned up, but they can't do that for very long, and they're only doing it to set up. Arnaud Démare is a long way back as well. So these two, so he's got his 2 bodyguards either side of him. Their job now is to get on that Kittel train, because Kittel's got 3 or 4 riders there, so move up and either join forces or just sit and use him. Now, in the meantime, Orica Scott are doing all this work as FDJ now move up. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So look, and there's the blue train of Quickstep moving up as well. Now, if you'll see FDJ going to make a clever call would be to then go and sit next to them and let them do the work, because if they come by, Quickstep will jump on them. Now look, Orica Scott, the 3 riders in the front, they're doing all that for the 4th rider in the train, Simon Yates in the white jersey, best young rider. But FDJ now, they're trains, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're sitting on, they've made up to Quickstep, they now know, let's hand it over to Quickstep, but they're getting split up by the central reservation. And so actually Quickstep now, see, they're coming up now, see, Orica Scott dropping back, their work's done. So the sprinters teams know they would have done that, they're just doing a GC, as Arnaud Démare and Nassir Bouhanni have a little clash of shoulders. FDJ, they're now too far forward almost. Well, not for the first time Cofidis and FDJ do battle. This time it was the main men. Arnaud Démare touching shoulders with Nassir Bouhanni of Cofidis. So Arnaud Démare's FDJ team are on the middle of the road. That's the incident there. And I don't know what went on before that, but that little replay suggested that Démare was making a pretty physical point. Yesterday, it was one of his lead-out men who clashed with Nassir Bouhanni, this time the leaders themselves. And Michael Matthews' Sunweb team, the next big sprinters train to move up the middle of the road. Katusha Alpecin, meantime, have the right-hand side of the road. And Dimension Data are coming off the right-hand side as well. So maybe they're going to try something different today, whether it be maybe they'll switch to Mark Renshaw instead of Edvard Bursenhagen. Or even Scott Thwaites. Don't rule that. He's a fast finisher, and he's in their team as well. Just caught a glimpse of him, the British rider. Dan McClay's team, don't know where he is. Fortunato Oscara, watch out for him. He finished top 10 on yesterday's bunch sprint. This is a really fast, they're going incredibly fast. They're running out of gears, which means they're probably about 65, 70 k's an hour at the moment, because there must be a slight tailwind that must have turned. It's slightly downhill as well here as well, David. Just a slight tilt downhill. It's going to be lightning fast all the way into Nuits Saint-Georges. There's the green jersey. He's manoeuvred his troops right to the front now. The road splits in two, and so does the race. You've got Katusha Alpecin on the right-hand side, but this train, well, 2 trains, Sunweb and FDJ on the left-hand side. 2
2K to go.
2K, so now we've got the Sunweb coming up, so Michael Matthews is going to give this a go, which he has to if he's interested at all in trying to do the green jersey. He's got to be Arnaud Demar sitting up there. Quick-Step, so it's FDJ and Quick-Step. I say Quick-Step are now in the best position, better than we've seen them in any other lead-out, whereas before they were in 30 places back. Now they're right there in the sharp end, but they've got to be able to break out because they're stuck. They've got riders either side. They've got Sunweb on one side, they've got Dimension Data on the other, so they're at the whim of them moving in order for them to break out, or FDJ completely exploding so they can come by them.
Conor Valovas peels off one of the FDJ lead-out men. That leaves Demar with 2. Michael Matthews still has 2. Sunweb and FDJ on the left-hand side of the road. Nasser Bouhanni has picked the wheel of Arnaud Demar and is locked onto it. And there is on the right-hand side of the road the blue jersey train of Quick-Step. They've still got strength in depth. Marcel Kittel still with 3 domestiques. Dimension Data, though, still with numbers on the right-hand side of the road. And FDJ drift across. And it's all happening on the right-hand side of the road as they go under 1 kilometre now.
So it's the first time we're seeing Quick-Step actually take the race from the front. They're not relying on anybody else. So this has actually worked out well for Dimension Data. They are riding, though. This is for Mark Renshaw. No, he's dropped back. So they are doing it for Edvard Boasson-Hagen. Mark Renshaw has just dropped up. So Quick-Step are leading. They've got this nailed so far. FDJ are missing, conspicuous their absence. He's got 1 lead-out man left. Katusha dropping back.
There comes Nasser Bouhanni on the right-hand side of the Quick-Step train, but he's lost the wheel slightly. The green jersey Demar also out of position. Boasson-Hagen is ready to be launched now by Reinhard Janse van Rensburg. That is the team on the front once again, but this time much later. 300 metres to go. Janse van Rensburg continues to lead out Boasson-Hagen. This is much better from the Norwegian. Can he deliver now? Now he has to go. Now Bouhanni goes. He's got Christoph alongside him. Kittel on his wheel. The green jersey on this occasion is beaten. Demar's not going to win. Boasson-Hagen, Kittel, that's close. That is very close. I think Edvard Boasson-Hagen might just have got there. Let's read their body language. Who thinks he has got the win? The helicopter pilot is honing in on the big favourite Marcel Kittel, but David, I couldn't separate them, and I don't think either of the riders suggest from their body language that they know who's got there.
Normally you always know. Those two guys, they can see because time slows down for them. But to be honest, Marcel Kittel, he was so tapped out. You could see he was maxing out on Boasson-Hagen's wheel before the sprint even began. He knew that was the wheel he wanted. Everyone saw how strong Boasson-Hagen was yesterday, and you can see he just completely maxed out. So by the fact that Vittel and all that they're there, that would signify that the organisation think Kittel got it.
Well, from there, that looked slightly like Boasson-Hagen might have shaded it to my eyes, but nightmarishly close. I wouldn't like to call that.
So Kittel's got the right wheel. Katusha, that's Christoph. You've got, that's Michael Matthews doing great sprint on the left, but look, he's just coming by. Oh, no, I think Boasson-Hagen got it. If not, Kittel got it right on the lunge.
No. That photo doesn't do it either.
No, no.
That photo doesn't do it.
It looks like a dead heat, that photo. They're going to have to get focus in even closer.
He still doesn't know it. Now he does. Now he does. Kittel has won stage 7.
By 6 millimetres and 3/10,000ths of a second, apparently, which would equal the closest photo finish in Tour history. Although Tissot official timing are too important to bother providing proper enlargements for people trying to cover the race, so we have to take them at their word. The Tour obviously does, since that's the result. Michael Matthews was clearly third, ahead of Alexander Kristoff. John Degenkolb was fifth. Arnaud Demar didn't even make the top 10. Which makes Marcel Kittel the new leader of the points competition. He spoke to Matt.
Hi, that seems to be your size. Are you comfortable in that jersey? Are you planning on keeping it for a while?
It fits pretty good, to be honest. I'm very happy. I was a bit surprised that I would get it today back, but that's maybe also a sign it's a sign how fast it can change after one sprint that I missed because of the crash on stage, what was it, 3 or 4? I lost a lot of points, and today it was the other way around. For me, still the best strategy is now to concentrate on those sprint stages, on those sprint victories, to keep the big points coming.
Last year at Limoges, it was close. This time looked even closer. Have you got any idea how close it was?
No, I have no idea, and I had also no clue if I had won or not on the finish line. It was just throwing my bike somehow to the front and thinking that this 1.88 meter body size that I have would help me now.
Evidently it did, and crucially, I think he lunged fractionally earlier than Edvald Boasson-Hagen, although the helicopter shot doesn't help because it seems to favour the Norwegian. What you can see on the left is the white jersey of Dan McClay just edging out the green of Arnaud Demar for 10th.
Yeah, I think today was better, and I I made a big error there in the finish. I think I didn't believe in myself enough, and I waited for Demar to accelerate, and I was on the inside of his wheel, and he kicked and I kicked, and in the end I just ended up stuck on his wheel, freewheeling until I could get to the other side. And I think I need to have more confidence in myself, and team again did a super job, and like a really fast finish like that suits me, but stuffed it up today, but hopefully can work on that for the next sprints.
Simon Yates had another quiet day in the white jersey. He takes a 24-second lead over Pierre Latour into the mountains and remains 6th overall, 43 seconds behind Chris Froome in an unchanged general classification. Day number 46 of his Tour career in the yellow jersey for Chris Froome then. He knows days 47 and most likely 48 will be less comfortable.
Chris Froome, the jersey defended again today. Yesterday's stage on paper looked a bit like today's stage, but how was it out there? There was always a threat of side winds today.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of talk of side winds today, and I think we did have earlier on in the race, but no one really wanted to hit out that far with over 200k stage ahead. But nervous day. Guys wanted to be at the front all day, and just in case something did happen. But so I mean, the team did a great job looking after me today. Really kept me up front, and fortunately, nothing really went down in the final. But it was good day just to tick off and have behind us now.
About 40 kilometres to go. The teams of all the GC riders moved to the front there, and it was kind of the perfect picture of modern racing. These great long trains, all individual. Do you look over each other and get a good look at the other contenders and see how they seem to be pedalling?
Yeah, I mean, you do look around and see which teams are present, certainly. And if there is one team that's not there, you want to know why. And
Chris, tomorrow the mountains, that's the important thing. What happens tomorrow?
Good question. Station de Roost tomorrow. Not quite a mountaintop finish, but big climb close to the end. Difficult to predict what's going to happen, really, but I think the more decisive stage is going to be on Sunday, but certainly a big weekend of racing up ahead, I think.